So today we're talking about your customer journey, and what I mean by your customer journey is the different touch points that your customer or prospective customer has with you along their path in working with you. Now, if we compare an online business to a brick and mortar business, this can kind of be a little bit more clarified. The customer journey can be a little bit more clarified. So if you had a brick and mortar studio or somewhere, sorry, if you had a brick and mortar studio or something like a store or an art stall or something like that where you're selling your artwork, a customer might be, or a prospective customer might walk along past your shop. They might look in the shop window and decide there's something that they want to buy, come in and do all that interaction right there. Or they might see an advertisement for your shop and see that you offer a certain service or product, and then keep it in their brain until they need your services and go in right there. Or now they might do a search and find about your brick and mortar shop and go in as well. So our online businesses is sort of the same as that, except for the fact that you have to remember that if you have an online website or an Etsy store, or you're selling your goods and services, you're relying on your own website, your own place, that store is located in the middle of a desert pretty much, especially if it is a website that you're not doing anything to promote externally. People are typically not going to find you. You're not going to have that footfall, that foot traffic. So you have to do things to encourage to bring people in. Now, I should say, actually, if you have an Etsy store, you're a little bit different because you're a little bit more in a marketplace. So you are in a place where other people are going specifically to shop. So it's a little bit easier to get that foot traffic, right? Because people are actively searching and shopping for something. And if you have your shop's SEO stuff done correctly, then you should be able to have a match with the people who are looking for your stuff. But if you just have your own website or a Facebook page or something like that, and you're just relying on people to find you, they're not necessarily going to find you. So we have to encourage and attract people in to your store and into your website to get those products or services that you're offering. So that's the first step in your customer journey, is how are they going to be attracted to you? So now if we're talking about selling your goods and services online, what you can do is you can use traditional medium to advertise. You might not necessarily use a newspaper or a magazine, but similarly to that, you could use Facebook marketing, or Facebook advertising. You could use Google advertising. You could do an ad banner on a website where your people look at, or they follow. I can't get my words out. Maybe on somebody's blog, that you might pay to advertise on somebody's blog if they've got a matched audience with your stuff. So that's another way that you could kind of get people to get in front of your work. They're all paid ways, or you could use free ways such as social media. And the biggest one right now would be, say, Instagram for services or for goods and products, and services as well, although you have to have a strategy slightly differently if you're doing services. But for that first kind of interaction with your goods, you kind of have to treat Instagram as that shop window. People are still looking and shopping on Instagram, but actually they're also just doing a lot of browsing and a lot of gathering of their tastes and ideas. So if your Instagram feed is attracting the right, or set up to attract the right people, then that's kind of like your shop window. So people might see it and come in straight from there, or you could just remain top of mind for them as well, and be part of your presence. So if you have any questions about any of that, just feel free to write them in the comments. But that's the first place or the first step in that customer journey. It's really just where it's kind of, where are they finding out about you? Now, you also can use other social media channels for sure. Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, depending on what your product or service is. If you're doing professional services, you might find that LinkedIn is a good place for you to go find your people, or for them to find out about you. And I would suggest that if you're starting out, you don't need to be on all of the places. You might need to have a Facebook page and an Instagram, and you can kind of keep the social media handles for Pinterest and those things so that you've got a consistent brand visibility. But you don't need to be present and consistently there all the time. Pick one place to be your place. That's going to be your main place that you hang out. Okay. So that's the first thing. Where do people find out about you? The second thing is, and that would also include your email, or sorry, your website. But the second thing is, how do they find out about you? And the how is a little bit like the where, but it's a little bit more strategic, because people can just absolutely happen upon you in Instagram or on Facebook, but they're not actually, if you're not specifically going after and targeting this specific type of person that you want to see your goods, then you're kind of just a little bit of shot in the dark. So how they find out about you is more to do with the strategy, and that's what I help a lot of my students with, my clients with, is that you want to have that strategy in place on the how do they find out about you. And that might involve Instagram stories and telling the behind the scenes of your product creation, or it might involve you doing a launch or releasing new products on, say, Instagram, or it could be something like what I'm doing here on Facebook Live, which is doing a consistent live show every week where people find out about me, and I'm positioning myself as somebody that knows what I'm talking about, and a way for us to engage and interact as well. So the how is more about the strategy, and that kind of, how often you're posting, or what hashtags are you using, who specifically are you going after, if you're, say, on Instagram or Pinterest, or how are you getting those people in. This involves action on your part. Okay, so the second part of this customer journey involves you enticing and inviting people in. It's not just I'm here, pass by the window. You've got to actively be engaging with people and actively bringing people in. So it's not enough just to be posting your stuff all the time. You've got to have some sort of outreach, and that could be in a competition, or it could be just engagement on other people's profiles, so that you're kind of creating that little network and microcosm of people around you. Giving them a reason to come back and look at your stuff is always a good thing. But I want you to think about that, like, so how am I attracting people in, rather than just like, here I am. It kind of it requires you to step outside of your shop doors, right? You have to almost come away from behind the computer and get active. And actually, if you're in person business, it does actually involve you to get out from behind your computer and become active. So think about that. Think about networking. Think about outreach. Oops. All right, microphone down. Think about all of the different ways that you can actually actively be taking people in, inviting people in. So that's the second thing. So where do they find you, and how do they find you? And the third thing is, after they have found you, how do they interact with you? So when your customer comes in, have you got like a forum where they can chit chat? Is it like Instagram where they can ask you questions? Are you asking them a question and expecting an answer in return? So you've got that engagement. In something like Facebook, it's a very big platform. You can ask lots of questions, polls, get lots of information. It's all very social. Obviously, social media, it's all about the social. Are you asking them to sign up for an email list? Are you giving them something like a coupon code or something where they can interact with that, and that they've got something to come in and then get a discount with? So you're giving them something in exchange for their email address, and then you're able to market to them too. So how are they interacting? Are they getting that through email? Maybe they're lifting the phone to get on a discovery call or a chat with you, a conversation. How are they expected to interact with you? And you need to be clear about that when you are thinking about your customers and getting customers in. Because if you're not sure about how you want to do business with them, how you want them to interact, then it's kind of, that's a block, right? Because you need to have a way for people to work with you, pay you, and even before that. So they want to get to know you a little bit better, right? So how are they going to do that? And then the fourth thing is, and part of the the customer journey is after they've interacted, whether that be hopefully pay for some services or product from you. After that happens, that transaction takes place, what happens then? Like, are you still maintaining a relationship? I suggest that absolutely you do maintain a relationship with them after the transaction has taken place, because not only might that person need help in the future, they may also be a good source of referrals for you, and they will be able to refer you out to their friends. You're just widening your network. Obviously we all just, this whole internet web is just a reflection of society. Like, we're a web of people, so that always becomes important. Those relationships are also important, so it's important that you're maintaining contact with them and still delivering value and service. So a lot of times in this day and age, this comes from email marketing. So if you have not already set up some form of email marketing where you're getting an email address from your customers and then you're continuing to email them on a regular basis, I highly suggest that you do that. It's really, really important to keep that network to building. And also, it's so much easier to sell to somebody who already has worked with you or has bought your stuff already, because they know the service and everything that they're getting. So think about that it continues on, rather than always trying to look for new people. There's a whole bunch of value to be had in the people that you already know and that you've already worked with before. So just to recap, what we've been talking about has been the customer journey and the different ways and how people get towards that point of working with you, and then after that. So the first thing is, where do they find you? That is the basic, that is the foundation on what you already have probably, or if you're thinking of starting out, the first things that you think of. I need a website, I need a Facebook page, I need an Instagram profile, okay? So that's the basics. And then how are they going to find you in those places? It's not enough just to say they're going to show up, because we remember we're in this like shopping mall in the middle of nowhere. I always think of like Arizona or somewhere where it's like beautifully picturesque, but there's nothing around you, right? So you have to entice them in, you have to tell them to come in, you have to encourage people to come in. Okay, so how are you doing that? What are you doing for them that would invite somebody in? The third thing is, how are you engaging and interacting with them when they're in your store, or they've decided that they want to be a fan or a follower, or they've given you their email address, or even if they've made that ultimate commitment and decided to become a customer. How then are you interacting with them? What does that customer journey look like as you're interacting with them? Are you clear on all of the things that involves in your transaction? We can get really specific when we talk about products, like how your email communication, your branding, all of that fits on top of that. And then finally, after you have had a transaction with them, after you've done business with them, are you still keeping in touch? Are you still reaching out to them on a weekly email or a monthly email? Or how does that look? What does that look like for you? Because remember, it's easier to sell to somebody that already knows you, likes you, and trusts you. And if they've already done business with you, then hopefully all of those things are true. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. I hope you have found some value in this, thinking about your customer journey, because sometimes you're so deep into your business that we forget about what it does look like if nobody has ever seen you before, if nobody's ever come across your stuff before. So we want to make sure that those things, those 4 steps, are in place, and thinking about things from an outsider point of view. And sometimes it can be good to like just kind of open an incognito window in Google and try and find yourself first of all, and then see how does that look with fresh eyes, and then try and think about the back and forth and making a transaction, and how does all that go down. So as always, if you require any further support around any of this, I am here for you. I am Ingrid Owens, business coach and marketing strategist. I do have some one-on-one spots still available and open if you would like to chat to me about those. I would love to talk to you. I will put the link below for a discovery call underneath this video, and we can have a talk about what's involved. I also have a group program starting very soon. If you would like to jump in on that, we need to get talking as soon as possible as well. So just hit me up for a discovery call and we will chat soon. If not, I will talk to you at the same time-ish next week. I'm getting ready to go on a big trip. So we will see you on Tuesday. I'm not 100% sure of what time it is, but I will see you then. Have a great week, everyone.